Hey, it's Chris Jenkins, credentialed member of the media, covering the Carolina Panthers for Charlotte Vibe, aka Man of the People, because I enjoy working for the fans of the Carolina Panthers, especially with this new Bryce Young era. There's a lot of excitement about this team. Lots of people have lots of questions, and I aim to be the person that you can count on to get that information for you. So please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. We've been growing very, very well. And the bigger we grow, the more I can do, the more I can have players be on the show and coaches, because everybody likes when there's more people listening and watching. So please consider doing that favor for me if you can. So today, the Carolina Panthers are continuing to progress through their OTAs. Media is not allowed to watch any of the practice right now. But, however, what we are permitted to do is continue to interview coaches. So today we had the opportunity to speak with 3 coaches, and I'm just going to go through summing up what these coaches talked about and pull some things from that I feel are pretty relevant to you. But essentially, these guys all talked about going to that new 3-4 scheme, talked about some of their experiences with Dom Capers, as well as touched on a few players and what they have been seeing so far. But one thing that I would like to point out as I get ready to go through everything, pull up my notes here, is that I like the best when Todd Wash, the defensive line coach, said this. Right now, we're not really playing football. We're not playing that much football. We're in shorts and jerseys. So he says right now it's really more like gym class. So I like that. I continue to want to remind people as we talk about things, especially player analysis and what we're seeing, that right now it's like the really way too early stages to evaluate things in depth, other than just seeing how guys are just running around and how they're picking up things. All right, so let's go ahead and get into some of these notes that I have for you today from the 3 coaches that we talked with. So we're going to start with Peter Hansen, who is the linebackers coach. Again, the big thing that every one of these coaches talked about is the new changes, differences, if you will, with coming to that 3-4 scheme. So I'm going to play a clip here on Peter Hansen talking about those growing pains of making those changes.
I would say the growing pains are not necessarily specific to moving to a 3-4, but more specific to having a new scheme and new language. A lot of the guys have already executed the techniques that they're doing now in different schemes. They're just learning a new language. So
there you hear Peter Hansen talking about the growing pains is really new language. And I think Tem Lukabu, hopefully I said his name correctly, the outside linebackers coach, he talked about that it's just a little bit of a different technique. It's not a tremendous amount of difference, but it's just some nuances that everybody has to get down with this new 3-4 defense. The players do, including the coaches. Some of these coaches haven't been coaching the 3-4 that long, and this is really their first time being, in such a significant role coaching that new scheme. And a lot of these coaches are then relying on Dom Capers to continue to get some information and help them get up to speed on it. I see my man Tim Estes signing on late tonight. I know it's a late night live video, but we always go live for the reason of interacting with fans. Even though sometimes man, it's late, do I want to go live? I have to. It's what I promised you all that I would do, and it's what I will continue to do in case there's some questions. But whenever I can, I will certainly try to make these videos a little bit earlier, because we're all on the East Coast. It's after 11 o'clock, and you might not have a chance to come on live. But I also do encourage you to always leave a comment. I try to go back. I'm doing pretty good so far, going back into those comments and replying to each and every one of them, all right? But Tim, appreciate you jumping on tonight and saying what's up. Additionally, the first thing that we had was the Ali Broderick. Welcome back. Hey, welcome to you, Ali, for joining me. Something that they're also doing for the rookies is they're having additional meetings. So the rookies are also having meetings just for them to help them get up to speed, which, is a good thing because they need it, right? They're making a lot of transitions, these rookies, so they're giving them some extra time. Shaq Thompson was also mentioned by Peter Hansen. Just following up with Frank Wright talking about he was just impressed with Shaq Thompson's leadership, and Peter Hansen echoed those same remarks, saying his leadership is great. It's phenomenal. He's glad that they were able to sign him so that he can continue on with this team because his voice is just unique. He's loud, but he's also effective. And when he's talking, all those other guys are listening. And a guy like that's a veteran that has good skills, is still a very effective player, goes a long way for this team. So that's something that they're happy to have. Frankie Louvu was a guy that came on pretty strong last year. And, I mean, he just did a heck of a job just, getting sacks, rushing, pass coverage. I mean, he was just a really good, improved player for the Carolina Panthers last year. And Peter Hansen talked about just how unique of a player that Frankie Louvu is, and I'm going to share that with you all as well.
I think he's pretty unique. There's not a lot of guys that start out on the line of scrimmage and move backwards, and he's already done that before we got here. So that's impressive in itself. Yes, he's a good blitzer. The stats, the film speaks for itself. But he made a number of plays, huge plays off the ball last year as well, with whether it's an interception or causing fumbles. I mean, his production's off the charts. So, I'm excited to work with Frankie. I'm excited to see him every single day because he's got that type of personality. But, I can't really compare him to many people. He's very unique.
So there you have it, Peter Hansen talking about the uniqueness and skill set of Frankie Louvu. So it'll be interesting to see not just how Frankie, but I mean just how this whole thing performed, right? The coaches, the players, so many new pieces, so much excitement going on with this team, which is pretty darn cool. Next up, Tem Lukabu. Hopefully I said that right. Tem Lukabu. Tim, if I didn't say it right, I promise I'll get it right next time. He's the outside linebackers coach, and he was able to give us a little preview about Yetur. Coaches don't want to say too much what every player is going to be doing because, again, that's a leverage that they have, right? Not letting you know yet how Chin will be used or this guy will be used and et cetera. I mean, they can give you a little bit of things that's obvious, but nevertheless, Tim on Yetur going outside linebacker.
Just a grinder, a worker. He'll do it exactly how you ask. Very pleased with where he is along in his transition. There's a process that he's still going through. We talk about going from point A to point Z. He's working along that progress really well.
All right, and then furthermore, Tim spoke about Dom Capers and his influence. So I'm going to play that for you, but I have yet to see Dom Capers in person since he's been a part of this coaching staff. And though I've been covering this team since 2006, so a very, very long time, that was before Dom Capers was here. But I actually remember seeing him several times because I was actually at the stadium. Before I was in the media, I worked in security and was able to see Dom Capers and see him get into, I think at the time it was a Dodge Viper that he was driving, parking in that coach's spot. So, and that's his hairstyle. I think he still has the same hairstyle. But this guy's been around the league forever. I forget which coach mentioned, what's the whale's name that was all huge? Moby Dick was probably a minnow when Capers was, in his younger days. But nevertheless, Dom Capers, senior defensive assistant, has a lot of influence on this team. And Tim gave us a little insight on just how Dom is influencing him.
He's my guy. He's in the room with me. I lean on him heavy. It's unbelievable the knowledge that he has. But the biggest thing I get from Dom is he takes the time to explain the whys and the origins of why we're doing things. And when you get that from somebody with his experience and knowledge, it can take you to another level as a coach and when you're teaching it. So it fires me up every day to work with that guy. He's a heck of a human being, number one, but unbelievable coach and teacher.
All right, so there you have the coaches. Todd Wash was also one of the coaches that spoke with us today, the defensive line coach, talked about Derek Brown and his progression, talked about the nose guard position, and really some of the same, the 3-4, saying it's not that difference. Technique is the difference. Everybody's learning it. And he's also the one that referred to this period right now as a gym class, because they have limitations right now, and everybody's just trying to understand what they're doing, understand the new language and the communication for everything. So that would sum up the coaches talk for today. We'll have some more coaches tomorrow. So again, invite you to subscribe, turn on the bell notification. Very important that you turn on the bell notifications, because that will allow you to join me and talk to me live as I am now with any questions that you may have. And I'm here for you, okay? We will be back. We, as in the reporters, will be back observing practice next Thursday. I forget the date of that. Probably around June 1st, May 31st. But next Thursday, let me go ahead and figure that out so I can just tell you exactly instead of guessing. That will be June the 1st is when the reporters, myself, will be back out on the field getting a chance to watch OTAs. So if you've enjoyed the photographs from practice, if you've enjoyed the videos, I focused the first week on Bryce Young. And then let me know who you want me to focus on, if you want me to continue to focus on Bryce, or if you want me to focus on some other guys. So let me go ahead and talk about the final thing for this video. There were some rule changes that have been going through the NFL. Some, I'm just going to share them with you so that you can be up to date about the latest changes. Let's see here. In no particular order. Let's see. Thursday night football games can be flexed. So this was something, players typically don't like Thursday night football games. And then being flexed, meaning, you're going to play on Sunday, but now you're going to play in 4 or 5 more days. That's not something that players have been excited about the possibility of, but it's now a reality. So the NFL now, the owners passed this rule that allows flexing of those Thursday night football games. That'll be eligible to happen for games weeks 13 through weeks 17. So for the Panthers, what that means is if they're in the race for the NFC South, they actually have all 3 of their NFC South opponents that they play during those times, during those weeks 13 through 17. And in addition to those NFC South opponents of the Saints, Bucks, Falcons, they also play the Green Bay Packers and the Jacksonville Jaguars during, again, weeks 13 through 17. The stipulation with the flexing, it won't be like the regular flexing, which I think is about 2 weeks out. Give or take a few days, it might be 10 days, but it's about 2 weeks out that they can flex games already later in the season. But this one, they have to give teams 28 days notice. So basically a 1 month notice that they have to give to the teams to let them know that, hey, your game during week whatever is going to be flexed. So look for flexed Thursday night football coming up this year with the Carolina Panthers. Tim Essie says, Terrace Marshall Jr. I'm assuming that's, Tim, your response in regards to who do you want to see video of when I have the chance to be back at OTAs next week. So, yeah, I'll try to get some receivers. The one thing about getting receivers is that when they practice, they are literally 80 yards away from us from the position that we can be in. But I'll try to see if I can't catch them before they go to that area where they're pretty hard to see. But thanks, Tim, for that feedback. I'll try to get that for you. Next up, NFL owners pass proposal to allow teams to have a third active QB on game days without using their roster spot. So this is most recently happened with the San Francisco 49ers last year in the playoffs, where their quarterbacks got hurt. Christian McAfee had to come out there for a series and run some plays. and then they were able to bring back their quarterback. I forget which one exactly to continue on in that game. A lot of NFL teams carry 3 quarterbacks. I don't think this is going to change how they do their rosters too much because a lot of teams do. Not everybody, but most of them do. The Carolina Panthers have been one of those teams for sure. And judging on last year, how many quarterbacks we went through, we will continue to have 3 quarterbacks. And this is a good thing. Some stipulations to it, though. That third quarterback cannot come into the game until the previous 2 quarterbacks have been ruled out. If one of those 2 quarterbacks that were ruled out become eligible to return back to the game, that quarterback must then re-enter the game, and that third active quarterback must then come off. So, and again, that third active quarterback cannot play unless those other 2 have been deemed out at that time. So those are some of the stipulations regarding that third quarterback being able to be active but not count against your roster for actives on game day. Got one more update for you. Last but not least, and again, this was in no particular order, NFL owners have now passed a rule, and this rule will be in effect just for 1 year, and then they'll reevaluate it, whether they're going to continue with it, make modifications to it, throw it out. They have that ability, but for 1 year, they are going to allow on kickoffs for a fair catch to be made. And if that fair catch is made, 25-yard line, or I don't know if I said, closer to the goal line. So from goal line to the 25-yard line, if they make that, that's automatically where the ball's going to be placed. They catch it at the 1, they catch it at the 7, they catch it at the 10. Well, almost knocked over my juice, which would have been bad. That ball will automatically be placed on the 25-yard line. So leave your thoughts below on what you think of that rule. I think, they said there was a lot of it was done. A lot of changes that you see to rules these days are for player safety. And it's being stated that a lot of, the concussions and things like the concussions period should happen on kickoff. So they're continuing to try to limit it. I've always enjoyed special teams myself. And, they're making changes after changes. You can't run as the kicker goes to kick off. Everybody stays still. You can't do certain type of blocking schemes to do that. Yada, yada, yada. I think the special teams plays are exciting where they have the big opportunity. But, I'm not paid to make these kind of decisions on player safety. And player safety is important. So that's the latest change there. Let me also put up a few comments here before we get off of here. Oh, sorry about that, Leonard. Let me get this right. Pat McAfee and Andy Reid are not happy about that. So, yeah, I didn't think about this until later today to try to get a player that is not active to come on the show and talk about their feelings on this new rule about the fair catch. But it certainly seems like a lot of people could not be happy about it because you're continuing to, in this rule particularly, beyond the safety part of it, you're giving the receiving team a pretty good advantage, right? What if your kicker could boom the ball up in the air pretty good and have it land on the 5-yard line and force you to return the ball, trying to get you, flip to some field position? Well, that element is now gone. So it's like, I don't know, maybe we'll see more attempts at I forget what it's called, but the low line drive kind of kick to maybe try to get it downfield. But even with that, if the player just kind of steps out the way instead of trying to field it, it's going to go in the end zone and be a touchback and be brought out. So it's really like, man, Devin Hester, right? Would love to talk to that guy right now to see what he thinks about it. Again, I'm a little down on it because I feel like it takes away an element of the exciting part. I know helmets have come a long way and helping with concussions and other things that I feel like, can they try it a little bit longer? But yeah, Pat McAfee was definitely not happy, and so was Andy Reid. Let's see a few more comments before I get out of here. Oh, definitely got to get this one up here. Donnie Lynn, super chat of $10. Appreciate it very, very much. Good time for me to say we're independent media, supported 100% by you guys that are watching, okay? That means we have no big sponsors, but it also means it gives us an opportunity to do a lot of things that you want us to do particularly, right? You get to call the shots with this channel and how we cover the Panthers and what we talk about. We do need your support. Anytime you have the opportunity to do so, a super chat is a great way to do so. We have a lot of things that we're going to be expanding to do. It takes a lot of hours, a lot of dollars to put this together, but the better we're able to be funded, the more we can cover the team, talk to players, travel to games, bring you more content. So please consider doing that. And I'll also run this across the screen right now for just a split second for those of you who are on Cash App and want to like us, help support us. Information is below for you to do that. Really, really appreciate it. So right now it's 3-man team that we have covering the Carolina Panthers. May flex up sometimes depending on what we have to do. But again, every dollar that we get goes to running this channel. We need it. Appreciate it. Thank you very, very much, Donnie Lynn, for that super chat. Let's see here. Bro Cam said league most definitely favors the offensive side of the ball. Yes, Bro Cam, appreciate that. Carl Graham says, what's going on? Appreciate you, Carl. Looks like we're picking up steam with this broadcast as we get there, the final moment. So I'll stay on just a little bit longer. What else we got here? Josh, hadn't seen you on here in a while, Josh. Appreciate you for tuning in. And then Donnie Lynn says this team will be ready to play this year. Yeah, they will be. It's going to be a while, though. We're just before Memorial Day, May 24th. Preseason dates have not been announced yet, but they're going to be about mid-August. So we got about 3 months until the season starts. So, but yeah, I'll continue to bring you guys some updates. And Terrence Tate says, what are the new NFL rules? So I'm just going to touch on them real quick as we get ready to end up broadcast. But new rules, a third quarterback can be active on game day and not count against your roster. Thursday Night Football can be flex weeks 13 through 17. And then on kickoffs, you can fair catch the ball and it's going to be automatically brought out to the 25. And that's very handy for those offensive teams to just do that and have the ball at a nice spot. So that is it. As always, I appreciate you all. Chad Howell joining us late in the game. Chad, I appreciate you jumping on. Going to have to go back and watch the rebroadcast, though, because we're wrapping up. We'll be back again tomorrow, letting you know some more about the defensive coaches. We'll be back at the stadium on the field next Thursday. Subscribe, hit the bell notification, and hit the like button, okay? That helps people that are fans of the Carolina Panthers find our videos, helps us continue to grow, helps us do a lot of things. And if you haven't done so, we have a playlist for our one-on-one interviews that we've done with some players. So that's something fun to take a look at. That is it for now. Thank you so much. Chris Jenkins reporting for Charlotte Vibe.